Okay, today to review how to use Adobe Illustrator, we're going to make this simple pink bunny. It'll also show you a couple of new tools or new ways to use tools that you learned in Digital Image Design 1. This is modified from Ryan Putnam's tutorial from vectips.com, so you can see the full tutorial on that website and maybe try out some of the other tutorials as well. We have this file here on the network drive that you can use to begin your bunny. It has some of the basic shapes, so you don't have to worry about drawing them. We can start right with it. I'm going to move these off to the side so we're more able to focus on the part that we're on. This block here is going to be our body to our bunny. So I'm going to get the white arrow tool and I'm going to click on the upper left hand corner and then go up here to this convert anchor area and click to round off that point. And then I'm going to do that on the upper right hand corner point. So you should have a shape that looks like this. It's a good time to remind you as well, if you need to, go ahead and pause the video at any time. Also rewind so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go through fairly quickly, but pause and rewind if you need to. We're going to fill this with a gradient. So we're going to go down here and I'm going to click on the gradient button and I'll get a black to white gradient. It's also going to bring up my gradient panel over here. So I'm going to pull off my gradient panel so I can see it and use it. I'm also going to pull off my swatches panel, which is right here. And I'm going to pull that off and put that right above so I can use that. The easiest way to adjust your gradient or change the colors in your gradient is to actually pull colors down from this swatches panel. So I'm going to click and drag this purple down, and I'm going to click and drag the pink down, and I'm going to pull off the white and just click and drag and pull off the black, and then I've got a nice smooth gradient between this purple and this pink color. Back over here at the toolbar, let's go ahead and turn off the one-point black stroke by clicking on the stroke and then clicking on the red slash, and then going up to the gradient tool, and I'm going to start from the top. I'll click, hold down shift and drag it to the bottom, and that'll give me a nice smooth gradient from the top to the bottom of the bunny body. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now we're going to use this body also to make the belly of the bunny, and I'm going to do that by copying. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, or Control C, and then I'm going to go to Edit, I'm going to go to Paste in Front, or Control F. Now it might not look like it did anything, but if I pull over my Layers panel, and I'm going to make my icons bigger by going to Panel Options, Enlarge, you can see that I now have two versions of that pink body shape. So the top one is the one that's selected. So I'm going to hold down Shift while I shrink that body down. Okay, and you can see the green lines come up. The green line is going to help me keep it centered on that body. Those are called smart guides. And I'm going to change the gradient a little bit. I'm going to bring white down to replace the purple. Actually, I think I'm going to switch sides of it. Oops. Switch sides so the white is at the top and the pink's at the bottom. So that's what we have at this point. Let's continue on with our bunny now by creating some feet for him. We're going to go to the star tool, and usually when you grab one of these shape tools you click and drag and it drags out whatever shape it is that you want. However, we can also click once and type in some measurements to create our shape. So we're going to create some triangles using the star tool. The way that'll work is that we're going to type in for radius 1, we're going to type in 50 px for pixels. So it's going to be 50 pixels big. Now when I change over to radius 2, it's going to switch 50 pixels and translate it into inches. That's okay. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to type in 25 pixels, and it's a triangle, so we want 3 points. I click OK, and I've got the triangle that I want to use. There's a couple things that I want to do to this triangle before I put it onto his body. I want to round off the corners. I do that by going to Effect, and I'm going to go to Stylize, and I'm going to go to Round Corners. And I'm going to type in, again, a measurement, 15 pixels, and click OK. And if I steal the gradient from the body here, you can see that I have a triangle that is rounded off, but the sharp points are still there. This is a good time to show you the appearance panel. If I go to the appearance panel, you can see that I have the fill in there, I have the stroke, and then it also tells me I have a special effect called rounded corners on here. If I wanted to make this more permanent, as if I had drawn it with the pen tool, I can go to Object and Expand Appearance, and you'll see that the effect is gone and it has these nice rounded edges. Okay, let me move my appearance panel off and zoom back out. And I'm just going to take that foot and I'm going to rotate it around and put it on the body, and I think I'm going to squish it a little bit. Okay, so I've got a foot right there, and I'm going to hold down Alt and I'm going to drag it over while holding down Alt to create the second foot. Okay, so now I've got a bunny body with a belly and 2 feet. Let's continue on with the bunny by making his ears. His ears are over here on the screen, but you can see that the screen has become very cluttered. I've got a lot of workspace issues here, a lot of panels that are out. So I'm going to go up to the top where it says Essentials, and I'm going to pull it down and click on Essentials again, and that cleans up my workspace so I can see more of my art, and my panels are all pinned over here. I'll need some of those panels back, but at least they're all off to the side right now. So we have this shape here, and we're going to use this for making the ear. It was made with a rectangle, and then I did that round corners on it, just like I did on his feet, but I've already done that for you to make things go faster. So we're going to actually change the shape a little bit more by using another effect. We're going to go to Effect, and we're going to go to Warp, and then we're going to go down to Arch. Okay, and this is another way to take simple shapes and do something to them to make them more complex. And it's a little bit of a shorthand instead of trying to draw with the pen tool every shape that you might make. So with the arch, if I click on Preview, you can see that a 50% bend is going to make this sort of shape here. I'm going to make some changes to this. I'm going to make my bend much smaller, about 21%. The horizontal distortion, what that will do is it'll distort along the horizontal axis. So it'll be big over here if I use a negative number and small over here. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to go about -50 or so, and that's going to be my bunny ear shape. Go ahead and click OK when you have that. And you can see the original blue outline from the layer. That is that original shape that I've drawn. To turn this into a shape as if I had drawn this with the pen tool, I'm going to go to Object and Expand Appearance, and you can see now my blue outline goes around my shape. So I can rotate this and put it into place. You can see it's going off the page in this case, and that's okay. We can adjust that later. So I have one ear there. The ear's ready to color. So I'm going to actually just steal the gradient right from the bunny body by using my eyedropper tool. The keyboard shortcut for that is I. So I'm going to click on that or press I, and I'm going to click on the bunny body. And it has taken that gradient and put it in here. Now I want it to go in a different direction, so I'm going to get my gradient tool, and I'm going to start down here at the bottom and draw it up to the top. So you can see now the pink is about in the same place there. That looks pretty good. Before I create a second ear, I'm actually going to create the inside part of the ear. And I'm going to do that using my path commands that are hidden underneath the Object menu. So I go to Object, and I go to Path, and go to Offset Path. And that'll create a second path that is either slightly larger or slightly smaller, depending on the number I put in of the path that I'm on. So if I do an offset here, I can type in negative, let's do 15 pixels. Again, if you go to a different menu, it's going to translate it to inches. Go ahead and click OK, and you can see now I have a slightly smaller version of that same path, and it fits right inside. We can use that for the inside of the bunny's ear. To color this, we're going to steal the gradient from the belly. Okay, and I think I'm okay with that pink at the top and the white at the bottom. That looks pretty good. and he's got an ear. Now I'm going to copy this path so he can have a second ear by holding down Alt and dragging out a second copy. Okay? And then to flip it to go the other direction, so they're nice floppy ears, I'm going to right click, go to Transform and Reflect, and I'm going to reflect it vertically. You can see the little dotted line there, looks like a sort of a mirror, so it's going to reflect on the mirror as if it were a vertical mirror. So I click OK and just kind of move it into place there. And there the bunny's got 2 ears. Now that we're done with the ears, I think we need to add some arms to the bunny. I've pulled on the layers panel because we're actually going to use part of the ear to make the arms. You can see that when you made your ears, Illustrator formed groups for you. So on this group here, which is the bunny's right ear, it's on our left side, you see as I expand the group that there are actually multiple copies of the back of the ear and the inside of the ear. We're going to use the copy of the back of the ear in order to make an arm. So we're going to steal this by dragging it out of the group up here and then collapsing that group. So it creates this shape, or it moves this shape out of the group, and we'll use that to make an arm. I'm going to take that same shape and I'm just going to rotate it around, kind of move it into place, and I'm going to shrink it down quite a bit. It's the same, should be roughly the same size as the triangle that is the foot, okay, which is to say not very big. Okay, and now I'm going to copy it by holding down Alt and dragging it over to the other side. Then, just like the ears, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Transform, Reflect, and I'm going to reflect this vertically again, just like the ears, and I'm going to move it into place. Now I think they would look a little bit better if they were down below the body. Right now they kind of look like they're sticking out the front of the bunny's face. So right here I'm going to locate them in the Layers panel, and I'm just going to click on them and drag them all the way down to the bottom. Click on the other one, drag it all the way down to the bottom, and our bunny has some nice looking arms. Let's now work on the bunny's face by doing his eyes and doing his nose. I've zoomed in a little bit here and I've brought this little shape over from the side of the document. It's 4 circles that we're going to use for making the eyes. I've also pulled on the swatches panel and I've pulled on the gradient panel so we can use those more closely here. So I'm going to start with the large circle of the eye shape. I think they might be grouped, so I'm going to right click and go to Ungroup, and I'm going to click on the largest circle shape. You can see it has a white fill and a black stroke. We're actually going to steal the color from the bunny body by using the eyedropper tool and clicking, and you can see now it's got the pink to purple gradient and it has no stroke to it. Now it's a left to right gradient. It puts it in the default position, so we've got this left to right pink gradient. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go to make sure my fill is on the top and go to the gradient panel and change this to radial. And what that does is it gives me a gradient that comes out in a circle. I actually want to switch sides on these. I want to bring that pink over here, the purple over here. And then to make the gradient a little more easy to see, I'm going to take this little diamond and slide it to the right, about right there. And now I can see a lot more of the purple and a little bit less of the pink. The medium-sized circle, I'm just going to take the stroke off, make sure the fill is on top, and from the swatches panel I'm just going to grab this purple color, and then I'm going to click on one of those little white spots, hold down Shift and click on the other, and I'm just going to turn the stroke off. I'm going to leave those white. So that looks pretty good. That's going to work as our bunny eye. Using the black arrow, I'm going to draw a box around it, right click, and now go to Group, and that way it'll move as one single object. I can move it into place. I'm going to put it kind of high into the outside of the bunny face. And I'm going to hold down Alt to copy over a second one. My Smart Guide is going to keep me centered. Okay, so now I have 2 eyes on the bunny face. Now I'm going to steal the leg to make the bunny nose. I'm going to hold down Alt and drag it out. So I have a second copy, or a third copy in this case, of the leg. And I'm going to shrink it down quite a bit. I squished it a little bit, and then I'm going to hold down Shift to go the rest of the way. Now to make the nose stand out on the face better, you can see it doesn't stand out very well. To make it stand out better, we're going to replace that pink that's on there now with the same purple we used for the eyes. So I'm going to, again, make sure my gradient is on top, down here, and I'm going to drag the purple down from the swatches panel onto the gradient panel and pull the pink off. And I'm going to stretch them out, so I've got this purple to a different, slightly different purple kind of gradient going on. And I'm going to drag it onto the face. And I'm going to keep it pretty high. I want to have a good amount of room to give the bunny a mouth with a couple of bunny teeth in it. Next, let's give a mouth to our bunny. We're going to do that in kind of a strange way. We're going to build a sort of crescent shape to work as a smiley for him. So let me move the swatches and the gradient panel out of the way. And I'm actually going to get just a regular rectangle. And I'm going to click this button here to turn up my fill and stroke back to black and white. And I'm going to take my fill off. So I'm just going to have a black outline. And I'm going to draw a big rectangle. And the bottom of the rectangle should go right below the nose of the bunny. That's going to be the top of the mouth. Now I'm going to switch it over to a circle, or an ellipse. And I'm going to draw that in there as well. And that's going to be the bottom of the mouth. As I'm drawing, though, if I hit spacebar, as long as I don't let go of my mouse key and hit spacebar, I can move that circle around, and that allows me to continue to draw and kind of readjust where my circle is. It's hard to draw a circle exactly on the first time, so hitting spacebar lets me readjust it. So as I let go, I can see that this is now several different little shapes. And Illustrator can see those differences in shape. So I've got a big rectangle shape, I have the top of the circle shape, and I have the bottom of the circle shape. If I get my black arrow tool and hold down Shift and select both of those shapes, then I'm going to go to Shape Builder right there, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to delete away certain parts of this so I'm left with just this sort of crescent shape. So I'm going to hold down Alt and click, and that gets rid of that part. Hold down Alt and click, and that gets rid of that part, and I'm left with this part, and I smiley for our bunny. Now I'm going to fill that with a gradient, and I'm going to use the gradient from the nose. So I'm going to use my eyedropper tool and click on the nose, and then that gradient is going left to right. So I want to switch that by getting my gradient tool and changing it to a top to bottom gradient, and that gives some depth to the mouth. Now over on the right on our document, we have that little shape there, and this little shape will serve as a tooth. Now if I drag it on, I can see that it hides behind the mouth. So I'm going to have to get my layers panel, bring my layers panel over here, and I need to locate that tooth, and it's you can see it by the target here, and I'm going to drag it all the way to the top. Now I'm also going to turn off the black stroke and put it into place. And I think I'm going to stretch mine a little bit bigger, hold down Alt and create a second copy of it. Just want it to be somewhat centered, and I have teeth and a mouth on my bunny. Let's finish off the bunny with a few additional details. I'm going to put a little bit of hair on top of his head here, and I'm going to do that with the pencil tool. Now the pencil tool, the way it works is that I can draw a free form sort of shape. Now as I end my shape, I want to hold down Alt in order to eliminate this here. You see how I have two lines that are crossing instead of a nice finished complete shape. Let's try that again, but holding down Alt. So I'm just going to draw the tuft of hair that's going to go on top of my bunny's head. And as I get close to the end, I'm going to hold down Alt, and you see my cursor changes to a small circle. And I get a nice smooth shape to finish it off. I'm going to steal the gradient from the nose again, and that also turns off the black stroke. I think I want to have it going up and down, so I'm going to use my gradient tool to do that. And I can move the hair into place. And I can resize it. I can make it bigger. Okay. I can personalize our bunny here. I could rotate the hair a little bit. You could rotate the hair a lot if you wanted to. Okay. I'm going to put mine about right here. And that looks pretty good. So to finish this off, what you'll need to do is grab your entire bunny by drawing a box around it with the black arrow tool and move it into the center of your page. Then follow directions in class for turning this in so I can see how you did. This is a pretty simplified version of this tutorial. You can check out this website, vectips.com, where Mr. Ryan Putnam has some really good tutorials, including this one, and it's much more in depth on the website. I've simplified this for review for our digital imaging class, but this is a really good website that has links to some really great tutorials to help you get better in Illustrator.